Once upon a time, two boys grew up playing hockey in the village of Terrace, British Columbia. One of them went on to play in the National Hockey League. The other became a comedian. Now, one flies planes and coaches youth hockey. The other is still a comedian and owns new skates. This is their podcast, Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Bagg. That is Jeff. That is Daren. Show's called Enjoying Orange Slices. NHL is out of control. We're down to 4. Fellas, how you doing? Perfect.
Jeff's grumpy. I was gonna let Jeff talk first because he's grumpy.
No,
probably.
Here's how this works all the time. We get on and we leave a bunch of good stuff at the curb, and then we go, well, let's record it. And I'm like, hey, we're going to do 90 minutes. Let's get her going. But
it's actually 120 minutes, but we spend the first 30 talking without the record button on.
So Mallard, do you want to? You were in an apologetic mood earlier. So do you want to just explain what happened yesterday?
My feet were really sore. We skated yesterday, and my feet were really sore. I don't know why. I've never had that happen. And
somebody else's skates?
In a long time, my feet haven't been that sore. No, my skates, everything. I have no idea why. But my left foot, especially, I couldn't move to my left. My foot was too sore.
Thank God you took some supplements today.
Yes, lots of supplements. And you were giving me supplement advice.
I wasn't giving you supplement advice. My doctor suggested K2, and I don't know if anybody had ever heard of K2 before and what it was for.
Do you take it?
What's it for?
Oh, I got to get it. I got a sheet for it. I'm going to get it. I just my vitamin D's down, so I'm taking vitamin D, and she said to add on K2 that helps with it. So I'm just like, what is K2?
I do take joint relief stuff.
Ski. It was a ski when I was a kid
for arthritis, but
what do you take?
Joint relief stuff for my
arthritis
in my left hip.
Well, no wonder your feet are sore.
Yeah, well, it's a long way from my hip. My feet,
and even longer way from your heart. But anyways,
it's right in the middle between my feet and my heart.
Even longer from my heart. But it's all close together because, according to you, you're a little man.
Yes, I'm a small, tiny man. Sharples even came by me and said, "How you feeling today?" I said, "Awful." He's like, "You can't tell," which was a way that you could tell.
You got chirped.
You know what? I thought like the last couple of weeks we've been a travel podcast, but this week we started going into the pharmaceutical. So we're definitely diversifying things. But
we're just basically stocks. We're stocks.
Yeah, we'll get into stocks next week after the long weekend. Actually, I guess it's after the long weekend in Canada, Victoria Day. But Mallard, like you hadn't skated in a while, so I mean, you just didn't quite look yourself yesterday. And then when I came over to the boards, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" You go, my feet sore. I'm like, I don't have an answer for that, So
you know what the trouble is with helping Jeff? You know what the trouble is with helping Jeff, Daren, is that you get chirped harder than the kids that he's coaching. It's just like, I'm your help. Like you're not supposed to make me cry while I'm here. Make the kids cry.
But you know what? At least Mallard doesn't help me from the other end.
Okay, I can't touch that.
Yeah, I was wrong with
you got to be in the same end. You got to be in the same end, and that's. I feel like you're kind of trying to gang up on me a little bit. That's not.
I got to warm up.
Not true at all. Very thankful when you guys come out.
No, I love that. I love this podcast because I just joined whoever's team is winning at the time.
Are you guys okay today? A couple of BC guys coming
I'm
off
down
the
and
elimination of the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, I'm having my Tim Hortons coffee and my in our SE mug this morning in honor of the all Canadian. Was that quarterfinal? No, what is it? The quarter?
Yeah, it was a quarterfinal.
Quarterfinals. You know what? I said last week, I said that I thought this was the best team Vancouver had put on the ice, best team. And a little air came out of my tires the last 2 games, but I really like the team. I agree with you. They've had more talented teams and teams that have gone further, but they've kind of reestablished. Rick Tocchet, who we love, has reestablished the Vancouver Canucks, and give credit to Alvin and Rutherford and all the other guys up there, Adam Foote, and I miss him. Yo is one of the assistants. So give all those guys credit and give the players credit. They've kind of reignited the excitement on the West Coast.
I don't think it was a bad thing as far as they got. It never ends good. If you're going to get knocked out, you don't ever remember the great times, but it was just, I don't know, it was just so disheartening, when they had 3 or 4 shots a period. You're just like, oh, this is kind of an offensive juggernaut, and that's not happening right now. So I don't know. I thought it was great. I knew that I don't think either team should be excited like they're going to get tromped by Dallas. So do you make that your Stanley Cup, winning the Edmonton-Vancouver battle, or what happens? Because I know Edmonton's got to be, they go, oh, we can do it, but no, there's no way they're beating Dallas.
As a fan base, as an organization, not often they think the same, but that result meant a lot more to both on the Oilers side last night than Vancouver. It was easier to digest for the Vancouver Canucks coming from outside the playoffs to a division win to getting through the first round.
7 game.
That was big. I was disheartened a little bit because of the shot total, not just in the Edmonton series, but the Nashville series was very low event hockey. I thought they would generate more, and they just never found their rhythm against Edmonton. I think they played one good game in the 7 games, so that's encouraging in one sense, because I think if they raise it just a little bit, they're right there. They're moving on. But the Oilers, they needed that more than 31 other teams.
When you say one good game, do you mean like in total? If you put everything together, like not just one game, like
I thought they played a great game 5.
Oh, you thought they played, because I thought they played
really good
7
game,
minutes here, 10 minutes there.
There was pockets in the other games, but they played a really good game 5, and the rest was hit and miss.
How many injuries? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lord Bagg.
No, I was already asked a question. Go ahead. It's up to you.
No, I think the word might be for this series a little bit uneven, but I think Edmonton was uneven too at certain points. And I know, if you look at Vancouver, their goaltending was more than good enough to win that series. Now, does Demko make, a few more saves? And maybe he does, right? Maybe he puts even more pressure on Skinner and Pickard, and maybe more pressure on the Edmonton shooters to think they have to be finer. The big, long, heavy defense that Vancouver had, I didn't notice them as much as the series went on. I don't know if they were maybe getting a little bit run down as well, but guys like Zadorov, Myers, Susie, Zadorov's kind of in a world of his own as far as being able to move like that and crush people like he can. But those other guys are really irritating to play against too. Ian Cole's got, has to bring that kind of game. And I just didn't see them as physically, Edmonton got quicker and they seemed to just lag just a bit, but they were right there somehow without their best and without their top goal scorer and their number 1 goalie. They were able to get it to 7 against a team that has said, time and time again, Stanley Cup or bust. So tip your hat to Vancouver. I think there was more there. Obviously, they didn't get some of the play that they would have liked out of some of their players, but I think overall there's some. Garland was fantastic. Joshua was fantastic.
Yeah,
Luger, guys like that are your depth guys, are at least penciled in to be depth, were fantastic for them in the playoffs and during the season.
Well, it was. You learned a lot about what a team can do next year. Like, and also, I think as a Vancouver fan, you got to be worried about will they slip from where they got to last year, because it's a Vancouver way to slip the next following year after we have a good year.
That's such a Vancouver thing to say.
Yeah,
such a BC thing to say.
We see rain more than we see sun.
Yeah.
That's
in the immortal words of Trent Franson. I knew I shouldn't have become invested in these guys. He fires that out in the second period last night. I'm like, this thing's still got a long ways to go. It's like 1-0 at the time. He's done. I agree. I would agree with Mallard, and we agree on a few things. But I would agree, and I was a lifelong Vancouver fan as well. Still am. Love the Canucks. But you know what? The glass is half empty, right? In Vancouver, it's not half full.
On a good day. On a good day, it's
and so, and I'm like, you know what? Enjoy, and that's why I really enjoyed their team. I love Talkett. I go back.
It was a fun team to watch for the season. It was. It definitely was.
Yeah.
Well, and he's got a whole different kind of mindset going on, not only with the players, but it's going to take time to change the fan base, and it's going to take some success for them to kind of follow along. And so,
but what we just seen was success, right? At the end of the day, that was success, right?
I think that team, and I remember 109 points. And if you look at it, if you look at who's left, this is a classic example this year, in my opinion, of teams that did little things over the course of the season better than everybody else that are still going now. Florida, New York, Dallas, and Edmonton. Okay, they had the horrific start, but then they got going. And then, the other team that just left us last night was Vancouver. You look at what Vancouver did over the course of the season, that translated. I guess what I'm saying is the teams that are left, including Vancouver last night, that translated into where they are in the playoffs. And someone had to go home last night. It was unfortunate, as Vancouver. But everyone else says, oh, we wait till the playoffs. Well, it's your habit and the way you play as you get through the season. And that's why Dallas, Edmonton, and Florida and New York are still going. And I would say Edmonton started off slow, but they slowly got going. When they started relying more on their depth in game 6s and 7, their depth helped start coming through for them. And so that's why I think Edmonton's moved on today.
I'm surprised Edmonton moved on that way, though. I thought it would take a Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent Hopkins type performance, that they would have to lean into those guys to get through.
Don't forget, they did. Mallard, Draisaitl had 14 points in the series, and Nuge RNH was 1-1 last night, wasn't he? He
scored the
goal
winner
and assist.
Yeah. In the end.
And so, and McDavid, I think Knobloch, he seems like a pretty studious guy, and our old friend Glenn Golitzon's there. He's been around a long time, great guy. I think Knobloch might have learned something, and it's not to say that he's not going to play these guys until they can't go over the boards anymore in the Dallas series, but it took them, after he played them both 29 minutes that one night, and the next game or so, they were just kind of meh by their standards. I think that's when he kind of was like, hey, we got to get some help here. And the cavalry showed up for Edmonton last night. Cody Ceci scoring a huge goal for them, and some other guys doing, and Stuart Skinner stopping the shots that were sent his way.
And Ian Cole came through big for Edmonton. So you got to Ian Cole putting his best Ian Bagg effort in.
The poor guy. But you know what? As the series went on, Edmonton just got a little bit quicker, and I think that was the difference. They just played a little faster than Vancouver did.
What do you think Vancouver learned about its roster in these playoffs?
Yes.
After a 100-point season, winning the Pacific Division, but translating that into the Stanley Cup playoffs and not being as dominant?
I think they learned that they're going to have to get a little bit more heavy. And that was the thing that we talked about before the playoffs. My concern with Vancouver was they got the Giants on the back end. They got hopefully Hughes wins the Norris Trophy. They brought Hronek in to kind of offset Hughes. So that looked pretty good back there. But up front, I think as the playoffs went on, and Edmonton maybe isn't the biggest team in the league, but they're a pretty good sized team. And,
Pretty big.
they've been there before, and so I think they probably got worn down a little bit up front. But then again, Garland was their best forward. So, and he might be their smallest forward, but Höglander wasn't quite as noticeable. Pedersen wasn't as noticeable. And some of the other guys as they went on, or I guess JT Miller was probably their best forward, but those are Edmonton's been in these games a lot in the last 3 years. So, there was a little bit of an advantage for them baked in.
3 years. They've been in a lot of the last 10 years. They've been in losing like this, man. Anyways, back to you. Should we move on from the Vancouver series? Let it fly away. Speaking of flying, Jeff, we haven't spoken about flying yet. I just booked for Breeze Airways. You know anything about Yeah, so it's direct from LA to Norfolk. So we're taking that in July. Breeze Airways. What planes are they flying?
Yeah, I was thinking that if we came out to see you guys at the bridge tunnel out there.
They also go to Charleston from here.
Oh, really? Brand new Airbus 220s, which were another fancy way of saying the Canadair. I think they were the 919s when they came out. So Bombardier is the company that started building what is now the Airbus 220, which is a phenomenal airplane. And I think where they got into trouble, Bombardier did with that airplane, it went into the market to compete against the Airbus 319 and the 737. And of course, Airbus and Boeing were like, hey, you could get that nice, shiny new airplane that's really, really nice, or we could give you even a better deal on our airplanes. So they kind of got pushed out of the market a little bit there. And then Airbus came in and said, hey, we'll take you over. And now it's called the Airbus 220, but originally Bombardier, Canadian-built airplane.
Do you summer out east, Bagg?
We're just sneaking in we go for a couple weeks every year. Carrie Ann's in school right now, so we're doing it at the end of August and just really quickly in July for a week. So,
do you have a place there?
Yeah, we have a place in Cape Charles, Virginia.
Anything that starts with Cape is really good.
It is, and the crime is fantastic.
Hey, LB, did you know that we're talking to a big shot here today? Mallard's doing the Olympics.
No way.
He doesn't
going to
tell
Paris?
Everybody unless he's in a sheer panic, and he broke that off to Raina and Breck the other day. That's how I found out. I'm like, thanks for sharing.
Oh.
When do you go to Paris?
I do it for the Olympic Broadcast Service. It's the umbrella of the IOC. And it's basically we file and do sports for nations that can't send a small city to cover the games. So if
pretty cool.
A small country wants to watch some field hockey, because they've got a tie into that, they can roll the tape of me doing field hockey.
Is that how you say Thailand? They have a tie in that?
Tie that might be it. Something like that. So it's awesome.
You
go
to
Tokyo and did it in. I'm going to do it in Paris. Yes, I go.
For how long?
I'm only going for the length of the games this time, just over 2 weeks.
Oh,
I was in Tokyo for a month, which was because we had COVID issues there, so you had to get in and quarantine and all that kind of stuff.
When do you leave?
That was the best month of her life.
Yeah, I got busted wrong paperwork going into Tokyo, and I got put under lock and key at the Tokyo airport, and they wouldn't let me leave for 24 hours until I got straightened out. And I had 2 guards outside my room, and I'd open the door every now and then just to see if they were still there, and they'd look at me and go, no, and then have to go right back in. No, right back in. No. Yeah, it was awesome.
Hey, LB, check this out.
Hold on. Yeah,
I gotta ask. Tell LB what you covered in Tokyo.
Tokyo was water polo, which is awesome. It is fierce.
Yeah.
And it's more like hockey, so it was easy for me. And beach volleyball.
Beach volleyball.
From the side or from behind?
No, I was in a studio.
Too bad.
We don't get to go to a lot of venues unless we get an afternoon off. So
oh my God. IOC though, do you get drug tested?
No, voluntarily. I just line up from the queue to
You just
voluntarily get.
you
Well,
just walk.
in Tokyo, we got tested every day because of COVID. That
Right.
wasn't very much fun.
That's completely different.
Yeah, that spit test.
You just wear your tracksuit down there and stand in there with all the athletes.
You do get all the gear and
No way.
and stuff. Yeah.
Which country do you get?
No, you get the neutral.
Oh, you get the neutral. Okay, so it would be great if
OBS.
the same guards are still over there.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
and-
No.
If the same, and then you just say,
Hey!
hey guys, remember? No.
So this time I'm doing field hockey and water polo.
Field hockey and water polo. That's
Yeah.
fun. Are you
And
allowed to take the family?
I'm really doing it to keep my foot in the door for Italy in 26, so I can go and be the, as they call it, ice hockey person. And I wanted to do 22, but the NHL didn't go, so that's I didn't get
Alright.
to go to China.
What
Hey,
about Los
so-
Angeles in 28?
Yeah.
28, yeah. If I wanted to keep going, I could keep going. If I wanted to keep doing the Olympics, I could.
He's that kinda guy.
We know where
Okay,
you can get
so-
some good parking in LA. But
Ah.
hey, Mallard, how about water polo? I mean, those guys are basically, it's an hour of trying to drown each other.
No, and they're Greek gods. They're sculpted like just perfect.
Perfect.
It's
But the women are even
unbelievable.
meaner.
The women, the women wear 2 and 3 bathing suits because people are just ripping them apart, like
Oh, it's
grabbing
insane.
and yanking, and it's an awfully physical sport. The underwater, we get these underwater angles of people punching each other and drowning each other, but my favorite thing though was I didn't realize when the goalie gets a penalty, it happens very rarely. When the goalie gets a penalty, they have to go off and serve it in
That's
the penalty
awesome.
box. So then
How great is that?
all the other people have to line up with their hands up, trying to protect the goal.
Take note, NHL. That would be great. if
It
you
would be
seen that.
awesome.
Because especially when the penalty ends, just trying to see the goalie try to get back on ice with the pads, just trying to get through the door. That's just-
That's pretty good.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm
Does
sorry
it-
I didn't tell you, Ian. I didn't think it was like, I'm not doing it for a major network.
No.
So
You're doing it for anybody. That's cool. Does the family get to go with you?
no,
No, perfect.
no.
That's why there's so much support for him to go. Jen's
That's it.
like, hey, is there another Olympic Games you could maybe, you know?
Can we do this
Hold on.
3 times a year? Remember when the
let's-
Olympics used to be in the same year?
Yes.
The summer and the winter, and that was, I couldn't imagine what all the announcers were going through that year.
Divorces. That's what they're going through.
Yeah, you'd be here for a month, there for a month, and just ridiculous. Now, one of the greatest things they ever did was split up the cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually, yeah. I'm going to ask you again. Does your family get to go? No.
No, no. And my brother-in-law lives in Paris. They were going to go, but
Oh.
it's very expensive, and the restrictions in Paris during the games are rather extreme.
What do you
have to
mean?
you have to have like a phone passport to get into certain areas because of
Phone?
crowds. Phone.
Oh, phone.
passport and different elements of a crowd control or traffic control.
Hey, Mallard, do you guys, the press has to stay in their own separate area, or do they try and get everyone, press and athletes, kind of a compound so they don't have to worry too much about, keeping an eye on everyone? You guys can just kind of go where you need to go and not have to cross over too
Yeah,
many
we-
county lines.
We don't stay in a village, but we stay in one hotel, everybody together, and you're bused to the IOC central headquarters, the IBC International Broadcast Center. That's where we do everything out of. So it's
Do the rooms, do the bigger country get the nicer rooms and it just slowly goes down?
dude, you should have saw my room in
Zimbabwe.
Tokyo.
Really?
It was the office that I'm in right now would be very comparable to maybe a touch bigger. It had one
Really?
single bed, a desk. I'm not sure why the desk was there. A TV, which was interesting, watching Japanese television, trying to figure that out. I watched a lot of baseball. It just happened to be on. I watched a lot of baseball. and that's it. And no room for suitcase, no room for anything. It was tiny.
Wow. And you're there for a month.
Month. Yeah.
Ooh.
So you're
How
just
were
going
you
for
afterwards?
2 weeks now. So
Yeah,
when do you go over?
I just go over. I go over like 2 days before the games, and I'll leave the day after the games.
Nice.
Which is
Airline you take
concerning
it.
because it took me a while to learn the software, the programming, and all that, because there is an element of logging in, doing all that. It took me a while to learn that last time, and I had some lead up. This I don't have a lot of lead up, so I've got some anxiousness before the first
The
water
Thai
polo.
the
That's what
Thai
happened
field
to your
hockey
feet?
game will not get their first results because they'll be
Exactly.
learning.
And they made fun of the old Canadian.
No way.
Yeah, they would make fun of the young kids would make fun of the old Canadian.
So
Look at the
old.
old guy struggling.
Look at him try to type.
And I work with here's the funny thing. I work with they're all Brits in the Olympic broadcasting system,
Right.
and some Australians, but mostly Brits. And they speak an entirely different language. It sounds the same, but it's totally different. So I would
You
use
can't move your teeth.
in water polo, I would use the term shutout. Like Britain shut out England 2-0. They'd say, "What's a shutout?" Like, what?
Pretty
What's
obvious.
a shutout? And I said, "Well, they didn't allow a goal, so they blanked them." Yeah. Well, why don't you say blank? I said, because I say shutout. That's what I say. Well, can you say blank? I said, why? Or nil. Could you say nil? Do you know what nil is? I said, yeah, I know what nil is. Well, say nil, 2-0. Like, why not 2-0? Well, nothing is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. I'm like, well, it means nothing. So we would go back and forth on this
That's
thing,
funny.
and I'd say, well, I'm from a continent of that like has a lot of influence in North America. I think we can work in shutout, but they were steadfast, no shutout.
You should have went with this. They Jim Nilled them.
That would work right now. I might fit that in. I'm happy for him. I'm so happy for that man. I love that man.
He's worked hard. He's put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah. There's not too many guys around. Yep. Good guy. And it's the mentor and the mentee, or mentor and mentee, because Jim started in Detroit after he retired, and Kenny Holland was there.
Yeah.
So Kenny and Stevie Y and Jim Nill, and of course, Kenny wasn't ready to move on, so Stevie originally went to Tampa. Now he's back in Detroit, and Jim went to Dallas, and he's done a fabulous job. And underrated for the moves he's made. I mean, he gets some splash with guys like Tana, but them introducing their young players into their lineup and having an impact is huge.
Good drafting under Jim Nill.
Massive. Yep.
I like how he's turned the corner into this series. I like it.
That was you. You did that.
Yeah.
Oh, very talented.
You didn't even know you did it.
Oh, I did. I'm very good. I'm very good. I'm thinking about going to Tokyo for the Olympics this year.
Well, good. There's plenty of good seats available.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
We went to there was a big mall in Tokyo that we would all go to, and there's a Nike store where you could get really cheap Nike paraphernalia. So everybody in our crew would buy shoes. We all came back with 3 or 4 pairs of shoes.
Was it different too? My favorite part about going to Europe is the swag you can get over there is you can't find here in North America. Yeah, I love that when you find some stuff.
And I bought all of my food meals from 7-Eleven, which was right beside our hotel. But 7-Eleven is very no, but it's very different. Like it's got all fresh food and fresh fruit, and very different than the 7-Elevens that we're used to. So I lived off 7-Eleven for a month.
Terrifying.
I don't think I'll ever do that again.
I hope not.
No, I'm pretty sure you won't.
Fresh sushi, everything. It was all really good.
7-Eleven sushi?
Yes.
Hey, I got a question for you, Mallard. You talked about the Brits and what you said. A lot of Brits. Does that make up the majority? Like, obviously, all the Canadian characters are going to be over there doing it for CBC, Sportsnet, I guess TSN or whoever got the contract, but are you basically in there with your team around you is British, or do you have some Americans or some who's going over to? You're
There
just
was
kind
one
of a
other
hired gun,
American.
right?
There was one other American on our crew, and a crew would be probably 40, 50 people. And there was one other American. He was from Atlanta, liked hockey, liked talking hockey. And then the rest of them were Brits and
His
then
name
a
is
couple
Gary
of
Lawless.
Aussies.
Yeah.
No, Gary didn't go.
He's going this time.
No, I said
On this one.
no.
I said no. No. No.
Watching Gary stroll through there would be epic. And my boss in Tokyo, the guy that hired me, and he was a former head of the CBC Sports. He was also the guy that hired me for my first ever TV job in Brandon, Trevor Pilling. So is that not a small world? The two of us ending up in Tokyo together.
That's
Now, he's
crazy.
moving on to a different job in at the Olympic Broadcasting Services, but it's pretty cool.
I think
That's three-quarters of the population of Brandon was in Tokyo at the same time.
And they were very proud, Brandon.
Brandon stood up that day.
I like the way Sharples has come out of his shell today. He was grumpy at the start.
He was. That's how he starts every time. Then he has
Really?
a good poop and he's fine to go.
That's right. Go get some coffee and then everybody's happy. Mallard, you know what I was thinking? You and Gary over there would be must-see TV, Lawless in Order, Olympics style. That'd be great.
Oh my God.
Talking about skateboarding,
Oh my God, I'd love it. You and Gary would be awesome. But
breakdancing,
anyways,
surfing.
moving on. That's enough of you bragging about going to the Olympics.
I wasn't bragging.
We got to get back into the Dallas Edmonton series. Okay, you guys give your what you think it's going to go. What do you think? How many nil do you think it'll go?
Dallas will fall behind 1-0 and then win it in 6 because they lose the first game of every series.
Yeah,
that's what they
And
do.
then
They
they'll
check
win it in
everybody
6.
out. Yeah.
I would kind of agree with Mallard on that. I think Dallas ends up winning. I'm really interested to see though if Edmonton, specifically the two superstars, are able to kick it into the next gear as they've kind of gotten themselves through. As far as draws go, Edmonton's had by far and away the best draw, and Dallas has had the hardest one. So, not to say New York didn't have their hands full with Carolina, but they got through Washington fairly straightforward. And then Florida and Tampa is always a grind, but Boston pushed them a little bit. But I do believe
Boston
Dallas
wasn't
has
the
seen
Boston.
the toughest of opponents.
Yeah.
And so now I would say 6 games, probably Dallas. But if they keep going like they are, I don't know if anyone takes Dallas out. But that's why they play the games, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Good for Edmonton, whether you love them or hate them, doesn't matter. Final 4 again. So and
prediction. Prediction. Do you see Jean-Luc Picard again?
You might. You might.
I think you do. Yeah, I think you see Picard. And here's the big key for Dallas. They played up until Mallard? Game 5 with 5 defensemen in the first round. In the second round, they put Petrovic in to call them up from the minors, and they started playing him a little bit more than they played Lundqvist. So they got closer to 6D, and he's huge. He's like 6'5", this guy, Petrovic, and he's got like 260 games NHL experience. So if they can find a way to add him in to give them some minutes, I think they're even more dangerous. And again, there's a big, long guy that's known to be physical with a big reach. So, Dallas looks really good. And guys like Duchesne, Pavelski, Sagan seem to be starting to really hit their stride, right? So, look out.
There's a last chance theme with the Dallas Stars right now. Is this your last opportunity to take a run at this thing with a bunch of guys who have never won? Tyler Seguin's the only guy with a ring on that team. and that was from his rookie season. So I think that's fueling Dallas a lot. There's a different type of pressure on Edmonton to get over the hump and finally win with the expectations. Dallas, it's let's win for each other and me. Like let's get this done. But more so, let's win for this group that's never done this before. I thought of what the celebration would be like for Dallas, and normally you go to the guy that's played the longest, and you give him the cup next. But there's so many guys that have over 1,000 games that have never won on that team. It's a pretty special thing to think about with the Dallas Stars to be able to go with that. And I love their depth. I like the way they're structured. I like the harmonious part of that team, the way they've come together and made some changes. And I think they're really good. And Edmonton will be fascinating to watch. 2 years ago, they got to the third round and they completely ran out of gas, just had nothing left. And it was a buzzsaw of the Colorado Avalanche, but they had nothing left to offer. Like Ian mentioned, is there another level there? Have they been shocked into playing better in the third round than after escaping the second round? We'll see about that. I'm not convinced that we do, but I'm certainly going to be tuning in to witness whether or not they can take it up another level.
They haven't seen many shots this last round either. Like they haven't seen like that. Dallas is going to light the shot clock up. Like that's going to be the difference here too.
Well, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing.
You don't know?
Well, I don't, and that's why they play the game, Lord. But here, think of this. To take Mallard's words, but buzzsaw. That's what Colorado was, a buzzsaw. Dallas is kind of the anti-Colorado in that sense, that they can do that. They can go back and forth with you, but they take away what you do really well, and then they slowly just kind of put you to sleep. And then the next thing you know, they're up 1-0 or 2-1, and it feels like they're up by 2 or 3 goals. So
Dallas is a turtleneck. They slowly choke you out.
Yeah, they do.
Pete did it a couple of years ago to Colorado in a second round series and won 4 games in a row after dropping the first 2 with Vegas, and siphoned off the ability for that top end talent to get through the neutral zone. He repeated that with Dallas in the second round, and now he's facing a team that's built in a similar fashion. So I'd give Pete the advantage there. Yeah,
for sure. And he plays 4 lines, and I don't think he's going to want his matchups, but I don't think he's really concerned about if his 4th line's out there against one of the Stars, because they're going to be.
Yeah, they're 4th.
But you never know. Edmonton might put Dallas into a knob lock.
Have you been sitting on that?
Yeah,
I might steal it.
Take it. Take it and run with a knob lock.
Hey, how's your radio show going in the afternoon, Mallard?
I talk about everything other than hockey. It's 2 hours.
Just like this show. We were pharmaceuticals. We were the Olympics today. A little bit of hockey, but
a touch of hockey. That's what we should call the show. A touch of hockey.
I spend the first segment of every show talking about anything other than hockey, and then I think, okay, I killed that half hour. That's good. Then I've got a small segment, and then a preview of the second hour, and then I spend the second hour talking a little more hockey. But
why don't you bring me on to talk about comedy? I'll talk about comedy.
I could bring you on. You're a busy guy, though. I don't like. I like leaning on Jeff because he's sitting there talking.
I don't know,
because I'm not busy. I think that's what he just said.
He's gonna take and hold that for a long time.
He is.
You, my friend, have just stepped onto a landmine of sharples.
Because Jeff's following the Golden Knights, so I bring Jeff on during the season to talk about the Golden Knights, and I usually know that he's leaving the rink at a certain time, so he can talk to me on the phone while he's driving home. I do plan it that way, but I didn't mean it in any other form.
It's taken that way.
There's no way I get out of that.
I guarantee next time you call him, he'll go, I got time.
I got time. I got lots of time.
I got time for you and your feet.
Well, if you ever need a last minute guest.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? He's really good. You should get him on. And then in that last half hour, like, the fact is like if we called in to 650 Sports Talk in Vancouver right now, and we started talking about Columbus or Ottawa or someone else, no one wants to hear it. Do you find in this market, will the people listen to you, or do you always got to get the Golden Knights in there, right?
No,
No,
yesterday
you're
we
that
did
good.
we did the first half hour yesterday. I was shocked. Just threw it out there like who are people cheering for in Game 7, Edmonton, Vancouver, all Canadian matchup. Not exactly like TNT didn't even send their announcers to the rink for
I
that
thought that was
series.
ESPN.
Really?
No, it was
No, that was
TNT.
ESPN.
That was TNT last
Yeah.
night?
No, it was ESPN.
No, it was ESPN.
Last night was ESPN. But TNT, when they did the games of that series, they didn't even send their announcers. They called it from Atlanta. So that's a cost saving.
Wow.
You save
It's a weird,
significantly doing that.
to do the cost saving during the playoffs.
Yeah.
You think that would be a in-season type of
But
thing.
it's an all Canadian matchup. Your viewership in the States it drops off. But yesterday on the radio, we had tons of interest in the series. And 80% of the people were cheering for Vancouver because of the history.
I'll bring it up.
Edmonton.
I'll bring it up though. Why that is because fans in Vegas had a team before they had Vegas. If they enjoyed hockey,
yeah,
that'll be why. So
and I think we are growing like the hockey fan here, not just the VGK fan. And people have stayed. It's easier to stay in tune with the playoffs after you went through last year. I think a little bit as well. But yeah, the interest has been strong going forward.
Hey, Mallard, what do you think? I'd be interested when you throw this out there, what the local hockey fan, who they're cheering for, Dallas or Edmonton. I would have to think they would be, and they beat both teams last year in the playoffs. I would think the majority of them would be cheering for Dallas. There just seems to be a rub there. And like Edmonton doesn't, like it seems like Edmonton doesn't, they look at LA and Calgary as kind of their rivals and kind of look down their nose a little bit at what's going on here in Vegas. And I think the Vegas fan, I'd be interested to see. I think you'd probably get a majority.
You know why, Jeff? Also, 10,000 Dallas fans don't come to Vegas when Vegas plays Dallas, unlike Edmonton.
That's true.
Yeah. Although Edmonton
that's true. That's probably why there's a little bit of rub there.
Yeah. More controversy in the Edmonton series than there was, and that is taking into account that Jamie Benn hogtied and slammed Mark Stone to the ice last year and got multi-game suspension. But yeah, there's more nastiness in the Edmonton series.
Isn't it crazy that didn't hurt Mark Stone? Everything else did.
I know. Well, the Trennan hit that lacerated his spleen was just a hard hit. Like it was two massive human beings going into each other.
That's just inertia right there. That's what that was. That just says to you how much the body can take and how it can't take some stuff. Right. So
I learned where the spleen was.
Trennan he didn't really get to where I think they were hoping he would in Colorado, because when he ran over Stone, he was with Nashville still. I think Colorado got some good stuff out of some of their acquisitions at the deadline, but Trennan wasn't one of them. I think he was a healthy scratch for their last game against Dallas, which is kind of surprising because that's the kind of guy you would look to be a very successful player in the playoffs.
Hey, if you're Winnipeg, are you feeling you're even further away after Colorado got dispatched in relative ease?
No, you know why? Because the wheels came off of Colorado in a different way.
Okay.
The wheels were off Colorado, right? Because of everything that happened.
Yeah, a couple of situations, one injury, one suspension.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure the way that guy was suspended, that goes through that room. He can't be the only one that's playing. In a weird way, when I seen that, I was just like, okay, they're a team. When somebody's off the rails like that. So somebody's either protecting him from the team, or somebody is also playing with him. So I'm curious to see if you see another suspension this summer.
Yeah, I It sounds like it's pretty isolated, and the players weren't happy about it. There's a couple of quotes,
But
where
in that
players
case,
were,
somebody's protecting him because there's no way he's doing that without it being noticeable.
I don't have any experience in this area. I'm
in
nerd.
entertainment.
Well,
Oh, yeah, yes.
but you know what? We can start branching into that area now. But here's my thought on Colorado, and I don't know what happens in Etuskin now. I mean, it's a sad. It is sad. I mean, you know, and people are like, well, he makes lots of money, he should be in control. He's got people around him. Obviously, he needs help. He hasn't been able to get that help yet, you know, to the level that's necessary. But if you look, and if you're Winnipeg, which was the original question by the Olympic broadcaster that's joined us today,
British.
I'm going to come over there and kick you with my sore feet.
Ooh, yeah, that'll be soft.
That's you probably, that's where you're sitting down. You probably can't walk today. But you think about it. You lose Natushkin, that's a gut punch to those guys. They walked on through that and played an unbelievable. They didn't play very well the next home game that happened, but they played really well in Dallas.
Well, because they found out 5 minutes before, Jeff. Like the timing of that was unbelievable.
It is, but here's the thing. Getting back to the original question, if you're Winnipeg, what do you think? Well,
okay.
If you're Colorado, you had Natushkin in that series. Okay, he had 9 goals in 8 playoff games, so the guy was on fire. You still don't have Landeskog, who I read might be back for the start of next season. So if you're looking at Colorado and saying, "Oh, well, we lost to them," Colorado is going to be a Stanley Cup favorite again next year, just as they sit right now. Never mind if they figure out what. I'm not counting Natushkin, but if Landeskog can come back, he'll change the whole dynamic of that team. And of course, Taves plays 25 minutes a night, was injured. So I still think if you're Winnipeg, you got to do a deep dive into it. But I really like their team, and I don't know, maybe it was just an aberration what happened there. I don't know.
When I went to game 1, Anushkin was the player that stuck out on the ice to me like he had a red dot on him. That it was like, that guy is going to cause a lot of trouble. And game 1, Winnipeg still won, but you're like, that guy has to be controlled, and he was not controlled. So, and then with him being not controlled, you have other players on that team that are able to do things. And he was able to push everybody around. But then you go, oh, maybe he was just on bloat. So.
Can you guys say his name?
Samuel.
Say his name.
Nanushkin.
Okay. Sharple,
how do you follow that?
How do you say his name?
How do I say it?
Yeah.
Well, I say it in a number of different ways, but I usually just call him Natushkin.
Natushkin.
Natushkin, yeah.
No, there's no T in there.
I know there isn't, but it's like my mom. It's not Les Claiborne, it's Liz Claiborne. So the Sharples family, sometimes we just add a little bit to the words. Hey, I know his first name's Valerie, and I know roughly how to say his last name, and I know what number he wears, and I know how
he plays.
I know he plays when he's healthy. The guy's unbelievable.
Sadly, he's got something that adds to his health.
Yeah, he doesn't. Poor
how do
guy
you say
can't
it?
keep it on the tracks.
Natushkin.
Very
Natushkin. Natushkin.
Can you hear
scary
the difference
how much
between the way I say it?
Yeah, you put a T in
I don't
there.
say it any different than he does. He's taking us down like we don't know what we're talking about.
I
School
put
District
Nanu.
88.
I put Nanu in it. Nanu.
Remember that?
Yeah, it was the best show ever.
It was.
Jonathan Winters.
How long did that run? Mork and Mindy.
I don't know, but he was on the same vitamin that Nanushkin was on.
It's scary though, like addiction. It can
it is
draw you back in like that and over and multiple times. And you've got all the support in the world, and it still is so evil.
Well, the thing is, there's people that feel, and I'm sure he feels terrible. There's people that are trying to help him that feel worse, that because they're helpless, right? Whatever they're doing is not helping him get better, and that is got to be devastating for a lot of people around him, and I'm sure it's devastating for him too. But
As a society, we haven't figured out how to deal with it. All these the way they do it is basically don't do it. That's what they say. Well, that's not how life really works, right? Things are done. And how do you get somebody to just do it without going completely off the rails is what the way it has to be looked at. But I'm not an expert. I'm just a podcaster. So I'll never figure it out. But
the Bon Jovi documentary,
Mhm.
and they were dealing with a few of the bandmates during the tours and how they would have to go to rehab. But then Richie Sambora was there like multiple times. I lost count how
Yeah.
many times he was in and out, and then eventually just stopped the band. But I was like, that's amazing that the body can't live without it, left to its own devices.
I don't know. Some people just it starts out as fun and then it turns into disaster. Have you ever seen what's the movie? Oh, I'll bring it up later, but there's a movie that is about, it just starts off, it's the kids having fun, and by the end of it, one's dead, and one's in jail, and one's in prostitution. You know what I mean? Like, and the other one's cleaned up. It doesn't, it's something that starts out as fun that we just kind of push into oh, you just don't do that. No, that's illegal. You don't do that. Well, that's not how things happen. You know, like at the end of the day, some people try things, some people do things, and some people don't get, the more you do it, the more you're going to need until it's oxygen, you know? So
that's why I'm a nerd. It scares me too much.
I'm a nerd as well. I don't even drink booze. I've turned my drug's the stage. To be either of those. But
what?
My drug is the stage. I had to turn because I can't even drink alcohol because my recovery rate is horrible. So the next day, the next show is affected. So I have to make sure that, okay, if I'm going to drink, I got to have a lot of time off. So I have to, what gives me a bigger high, and that's going on stage. So,
hey, but let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about Natushkin here. He was operating Lord Bagg at an incredibly high level.
But he's also 26.
You and I have talked about this for years. I know, but you and I have talked about this for years. Like maybe have a sociable drink or whatever after the show or after the game. And sometimes one leads to two or whatever, but that's after. But then recovery comes into it. So you're like, well, now you start feeling guilty. You're like, I'm screwing myself for tomorrow. I know he's older than 26 now, but it doesn't really matter. He's a young man. But you just have to wonder how that has affected him. Like, could he even be better? Or is this?
It might be one of those things. He feels like playing guilty makes him play better.
Mm-hmm. Could be,
because I have those friends that they need to, or they feel like they're not as good. So
be hard to do it in your business, wouldn't it, Lord Beck?
I think it is, but also when I was younger, I had no problem with it because my recovery rate wasn't as bad. But I think some guys. Like I remember smoking pot one time before going on stage and just speeding. Like, you know, you're supposed to mellow you out, just like speeding through every joke, doing my whole set, my 20-minute set in like 3.5 minutes kind of thing, because I was so panicked, you know?
Really?
So yeah, I was just like, oh no, I shouldn't be here. So and I talk fast as it is, but some guys like a beer because they say it calms them down. While they're like, you see guys drinking on stage all the time, you know. So I don't know.
Is it real beer in there? I always wondered whether it was
absolutely nobody does fake beer.
Nobody does fake beer.
I watched a Van Halen documentary, and I think it was David Lee Roth drank a whole bottle of Jack Daniels, and I was just like, oh my God, how did he say anything after that? Yeah. But they said it was real, you know, and you could tell he was a little hammered afterwards. But
John Bon Jovi said he would go over, I can't remember which bandmate it was, had some tequila up there, and he would go over and accidentally, on purpose, kick over the bottle, so they couldn't drink anymore.
That's funny.
It was getting out of control.
I get, the interesting part about bands is it's kind of like a team. Like having to rely on four other guys is insane. And mostly those guys do have problems. Like you hear about, oh, he just didn't show up to recording. I can't imagine having to rely on somebody else.
That's what caused the problems with Bon Jovi. Didn't show up to a couple of recordings, and then they recorded without him, and then he was mad that they recorded without him.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Like, what job can you just not show up and then go, hey guys, your fault?
This one.
I know we didn't get that. I know we didn't get that boat out in time, but it's your fault that you finished the boat. Oh, just stupid.
I didn't get the link. I didn't show up.
Well, there's no real roadmap for a band, right? Like, I mean, if you think about it, you compare it to what's gone on in Colorado, there's structure and there's all kinds of people around you all the time.
A plus B equals C in hockey.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it does. Like, I remember when my brother was on the band, Kingfish, right? And they were traveling across Canada, and they just kind of would go and they, get together and practice, and that was good. But they got on the road, everyone would just kind of.
In entertainment, A plus B doesn't equal C.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. It does. Like with other things, you go, oh, you just follow these logical steps, and there's success. And it's the effort that you put into it is going to get you the success, right? Well, in entertainment, A plus B goes to F, and then you go back to D, and then you go over to Z, and then you go to X. It doesn't make sense at all, and it doesn't matter how much effort you put into it. Whereas when he in Nanushkin, he has everything set up for him, right? For success,
more structured.
Right. So
he would have probably had a daily itinerary almost to follow.
They all
to a certain degree. Definitely on some days.
Players are told where to go and what to do from the time they're the elite players from 14 on.
Which is why guys have more problems after their career than during their career.
Yeah. Train wreck after, a lot of them, right? But the good thing most of them have going for them is they're good people. And they have a work ethic. And they have been in structured environments, so they can, once they find something they like to do, go forward. But talking about going forward,
let's do Rangers.
Turn it.
Yeah. Let's talk about these guys. Florida and the Rangers. What do you got, LB?
I've got Florida in 5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Very brave.
I know it's very brave, but it's crazy. It's crazy. I think it's going to be rough and tumble, but I think Florida is going to just be able to push it into the win column just a little bit more quicker. And I don't know. It's going to be a goalie battle for sure, though, right? 2 Russian kids, when one tribe goes to war, 2 tribes cannot score. I don't know what Frankie said, but
what's that? Frankie goes to Hollywood?
Yeah, Frankie goes to Hollywood.
Wow,
really?
Relax, go to it. Then they do 2 tribes.
Mallard, what are you looking at in that series?
I think Florida wins. I think Florida's the best team in the East. I love the fact that you've got the top 2 teams in the East, though. I think that's really cool. We haven't had a lot of upsets, but there is usually a couple along the way. These 2 teams have been better. I thought the Rangers got away with some against Carolina and took advantage of some wonky goaltending along the way against the Hurricanes. They won't or shouldn't experience that and won't have that benefit versus the Florida Panthers. So I also think just Florida is a little bit deeper in the sense of some nastiness that the New York Rangers haven't faced, and I think that will rear and make its presence felt pretty significantly.
What number? What number? Hold on. How many? I said 5.
Oh, I'll go 6.
So I'm not far off.
Hey, what do you guys think?
I don't.
And I don't disagree with you. My concern with the Rangers is even strength, and Florida's lights out even strength.
Carolina dominated the Rangers 5-on-5.
Thank you.
Dominated.
Thank you. But I said that, Mallard. It doesn't matter when I said it. But when I watched them come through Vegas, I was like, I love the team. And I watch the Rangers a lot this year. And I'm like, my concern is even strength and then defensive structure, which would be a concern that if I was an Edmonton fan, I would have going into the Dallas series too, holding on to that defensive structure. What about, I know Florida's up for anything, and they just came out of the series where Boston is crazy, but there's no place in the league like Madison Square Gardens. Do you think that has any effect on being able to help the Rangers?
No, I think Boston's way worse of a building for visitor teams than New York.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
they're meaner. Like Boston fans are mean
and drunk.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so drunk.
And I think MSG has a way to inspire the other team, like playing at MSG. I will say one cool thing that I've never witnessed before. And it happened last night in the Edmonton win, where teams will offer tickets to their building for a viewing party. While the team's on the road, and Edmonton did that, and they had the outside and the ice market. That was cool. I've never seen New York do it, where they fill up MSG for a viewing party while the team's on the road, and that happened in the second round.
It did?
That was it was
in New York.
Really, in New York. It was really cool.
I can't believe that building was available.
Good point. Good point on that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why I've never seen it before. But I thought, look at the cool kids joining everybody else doing this.
And they didn't even have to, because they're original 6, right?
That's money, though. You don't want to walk away from that money, but the fact that they can get people in New York to do that's pretty cool. Yeah. I can't believe that building was available. That's got to equal T-Mobile with how many nights they've got something in it.
Yeah. I'm playing T-Mobile tomorrow.
Oh.
Just running the stairs.
Running the
stairs.
What do you do?
Moving my stairs.
Sliding down on your butt because your feet hurt.
Yeah.
What do you do? Yeah. Are you going to be able to get someone to lift you, get under each arm and carry you around, or what?
Why would my feet be so? I played golf before I played hockey yesterday. I don't know whether that has something to do with it.
Because it's not like you ever moved them. So maybe
that wasn't very nice.
Oh my God.
Hey, so this is you must have done something nice for someone in a past life or sometime earlier in this life, Mallard, because out of nowhere we had 2 goalies yesterday.
Yeah.
And so Mallard comes on. I could tell he was like, it's really cool when we get out there with the kids.
Who's your other goalie?
We had Cole, who came out, and he was supposed to go practice with his brother at the other end, and there was a mix-up with scheduling, and so he had nowhere to go. So I said to Mallard, Mallard, do you mind if Cole steps in with us? And you young U14 goalie, and these guys are all just ripping it at him, and he just stood in there, and afterwards he said, "Hey, thanks." And I'm like, "Well, thank you, Cole." So helped spell Mallard off a little bit yesterday, so they went back and forth. We platooned our goalies yesterday. He
got hit in the head hard twice and had to leave the net to fix his mask twice.
Well, how tall is he? Is he over the crossbar?
No, he's not. He's not super tall. But here's what we did. I told those guys, both groups yesterday, and gals, I said, if
Starbucks gift card if you crank the goalie in the head.
I said only Mallard. I said I got a $25 gift card here. If someone can crank Mallard in the head. No, this is the best line in the world.
Which one's Mallard?
Mallard, hey. So we're out there.
Each other.
They're all at once. I'm like, I only got a couple of these $25 ones, so you better make it count. So Mallard, he's like you with time, right? So he thinks he's getting to me by not showing up on time, but I just am glad he comes out. I don't really care because I'm starting like 2:00. They're all on at 1:55. We're going. Like, let's go. We're out here. Let's get going.
16 and 17 in my golf tournament to get there for hockey.
Yeah, I know. It was awesome. So, anyways, one of the kids comes over to me as he's walking down behind the benches to come on to our end of the ice. One of the kids looks at me and goes, "Hey, look who just showed up." At 5 after 2. And I'm like, you know the line.
He came over to me and said, "What time's the 2:00 skate start?" And I said, "Tell him I'm busy."
So I'm the only one that's not busy out of the three
No
of us,
way.
but I love it. It
No
made my
way.
day.
That was the same child that hit me in the head. The only one that hit me in the head yesterday.
Yeah. And I went over to give him a hug. He wouldn't even give me a hug.
What was that, Jeff? I'm sorry.
I went over to give him a hug. Hey, welcome back out. Wouldn't even give me a hug. Played hard to get. I was like,
I was all business.
He's all bent out of shape because someone chirped him, which is what he does 24 hours a day.
My feet hurt.
His feet were having.
I'm getting new skates this summer.
All right.
What are you talking this summer?
Yeah.
After the Olympics.
In Paris? Yeah. Oh, you're gonna get them over there in Paris.
They have a good Nike store there in Paris. I've been to that one.
Skates.
It was a little more expensive.
Hey, is there room for me and LB to come join you? Like,
totally.
Let's just make it Nashville. We'll go over to Paris with you for a couple days.
Do that.
That would be fun.
I want to see Lord Bagg play a Paris show.
I'm trying to set up a European tour right now, and apparently there is a venue that they're doing in Paris. It's crazy where everybody's playing.
How was Winnipeg?
Winnipeg was fantastic. Sold out 4 shows. Just loved it.
I tried to get my buddies to go, but it was sold out.
Sold out, buddy.
Bragging. Hey, buddy. And don't ever ask him for some tickets. I go, hey, LB, when he's going to Kelowna.
I got you tickets.
For some family, I said, LB, any chance I can get a couple tickets? Okay. I was like, I thought I was talking to Carrie Ann for a second. Okay. Not like, hey, no problem. Like, all right.
What does okay mean? It means okay. I got you tickets.
I know, but I could tell the tone. It wasn't like a
14-year-old.
Oh, you're such a.
We had the conversation with the 14-year-old all the time. It's not what you say; it's how you say it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh wow. Okay.
I
gotta get going here.
Okay.
Let's go. We're only doing 60, not 90.
Do you have to pay for the tickets that you give away?
They just come out of my no.
What do you mean?
I have a certain amount of comps that I get every show.
How many?
I don't know.
1.
Like 6 to 8 now. Yeah, 1. It's not like, it depends. Like most venues is like 6 to 8. But if I really want them, I just say, hey, and I just take them out of my cut. That's all. You know.
Wow.
But with Jeff, I didn't give many away. I kept a lot for the Vancouver and Kelowna, like my full amount, so I could have them. So yeah.
Okay.
What are the people called that travel to see your shows? Like we got the dead headers or whatever.
I call them idiots.
Hey, they came down to see you from St. Louis when we were in Nashville last year.
Baggage.
They'll travel.
Yeah. They. I actually have I'm the Taylor Swift of comedy.
Baggage. That's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, baggage.
I like that.
Yeah, then they're called the baggage. But people do travel everywhere to see it. It's pretty crazy. People are giving me a lot of trouble in Vancouver and Kelowna because Kelowna was announced after Vancouver. So I have people from the Okanagan traveling to Vancouver to see me, and then the night before I'm playing in Kelowna. So they're like, "Hey, I wish I'd known. I wouldn't have had to travel." But yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
Take your
talking to you, Trevor Henry. What's that?
Oh, Trev. I thought
Trev's coming to Vancouver.
I thought he was. That's where it's going to go. I know people are traveling from Kamloops to Kelowna. Now they're going to Vancouver. Trev, just take Denise down there. Have a good time in Vancouver. Go to True Confections. Get some chocolate cake. Have you ever been there? That's the best dessert place in the world. True Confections.
Really?
Where is that? Where in that?
That would be down towards Stanley Park. There's one in West Vancouver there. Not, I guess not West the West End. Sorry, True Confections. Little shout out. I don't remember what the street is. It might be near Hornby though.
I love it. Hornby and Robson and Hornby.
Hornby Yeah, it's down there. You know where that Earl's is, down by the water, or is it a Cactus Club now? Yeah, True Confection there, and then there's one out by UBC. I know that.
I love it.
Don't ask me streets. Just look it up if you're in Vancouver.
Okay,
True Confection.
So in September, which one are you guys coming to? So we're in September. I'm doing Ottawa, I'm doing Toronto, I'm doing Montreal, and I'm doing Halifax. I think we should all meet up in one of those towns.
I'd love to go to Halifax. I think that's one of the best places going.
Halifax is a Sunday. Ottawa is the Thursday. Toronto's the Friday. Montreal is the Saturday.
Where are you playing in Toronto?
I'm playing the Danforth Music Hall.
That's a good.
It's a big one. It's
theater.
A really big one. 1,400 seats, and they're selling really well.
It's a great venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? If we can't make it up to Kelowna or Vancouver, the chances of us making it back there are probably pretty remote. I also know where else you're going to be in August, and I'll see you then.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the?
He's not going to tell you.
There.
You're going to be.
I can't tell you right now.
You're going to be in Paris.
We're going to be. We'll be walking around with our phones with all our ID on it over there. It'll be great.
I'll just be yelling out my words that I know. Je m'appelle Ian.
We can announce the first, second, and third stars too.
Oh yeah.
Le troisième étoile, le deuxième étoile, le premier étoile.
The gold medalist, but can you say gold medalist instead of first star?
No, they got to be stars.
No, they're not gonna. They like you. We're staying with the words that we know. Shout out. Okay, Mallard, do you got any shout-outs this week? Talking about shout-outs, do you have any shout-outs?
I will give a shout-out to, I don't know whether I can say this or not, but I will. Bruce Cassidy and I did the Red Rock Loop last week, and it was awesome to do. Usually I do it by myself. It's like a 15-mile loop that goes up the mountain just outside of Vegas, about 1,000-foot climb, and then down. So we cycled that last week, and it was fun to do with somebody. It's cool to get the chance to pick somebody's brain who you're interested in and connect with. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
I got to give Butchie credit for riding a bike beside you, though.
Yeah,
you're a bit of a car magnet. You know,
we have we both have mechanical issues too, so we're gonna do it when our.
No wonder your feet hurt.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that's
you walked it because you had to walk it in those shoes, those click-in shoes.
Click, 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 click. That's my
LB.
I love it.
Mine is ravishing. Okay. What's that?
I just want to make sure I don't want to try and follow you this week if
no,
you got a really good one like you did last week.
Mine's a good one. Ravishing Rick Bronwell from the Philadelphia Flyers. He's the equipment trainer for the Flyers, came out to the show, and he just brought me this huge bag of like a Flyer swag, like this massive bag, and goes, "Hey, this is from us. Thanks for always letting us come to the shows and stuff like that." And I dressed every Flyers fan at the worked at the Punchline last week. One guy apparently is a ticket holder, a season ticket holder, and I decked him head to toe, and he's loving it. And I took some of them stuff for myself as well. So thanks to Rick for always taking care of us, taking care of me when I come to town. And Rick, ravishing awesome. Rick, that's what they call him.
That's awesome.
I met him through Dana, and he knows you, Jeff, because he started in Kansas City.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he knows Wade and you. So yeah, back in the day, started in Kansas City.
Good for him. You know, those guys are the heartbeat of every team, man. So they're the best. Okay, I had two. Now I got three after that one. After you brought up Philly, number one, Trent Franson. I can't shout out this guy enough. Poor Trent, the biggest, even bigger, or even with Ian, Vancouver Canucks.
Bigger, and living in Edmonton.
And he lives in Edmonton, a poor guy. And him losing his mind last night during the game was a levity that Lord Bagg and I needed.
Who is Trent Franson?
We grew up with him in Terrace.
Okay.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah. He's a ginger, eh? So he gets all fired up. But he's way smarter. What is he, an architect or something?
He's an architect, yeah.
So So, public school does pay off for some, but Trent, hey, shout out to you, Trent. Number 2, Luciano Casamare, his 60th birthday this weekend. I think he might be like the groundhog, stick his head out of today, and because the Leafs introduced Berube as their new head coach, and then he's going to go back down and we won't hear from him. But he doesn't have a choice because I'm going to his party this weekend, or I'm going to see him, I guess. So Luciano, number 2. And number 3, going back to Philly, our old friend, and rest in peace, Ronnie Dahl, the biggest Flyers fan I ever knew, would wear the Flyers orange jersey every day to school. And Ronnie's no longer with us, but
when he got married, Jeff, I don't know if you know, when he got married, their ties were Philadelphia Flyer ties.
I know.
Yeah.
I love that.
From like when we grew up in elementary school, primary school, Ronnie was a Philadelphia Flyers fan. Great family, still up in the Northwest. His dad, Bob, was a real character. Mom, Marilyn.
Bob and Marilyn.
Yeah, they ran, what's the name of it? They ran the paint shop there. Terrace Interiors.
Terrace Interiors, yeah.
And his sister, she works in the hairdressing, got her own hairdressing salon.
Terry Dahl.
Terry. So great. Great guy.
Bob coached me, and along with Larry Diggerness. And Larry Diggerness was the biggest man I'd ever met. When I was 16, I jumped on the ice to go fight some kid from Prince Rupert, and Larry grabbed me by my face mask and put me back on the bench with one hand. He was a massive man, just a massive man.
Yeah,
really.
And Lord Bagg was the same size today. He was then too.
You know why? Because he was one of those guys that worked on those the things that pulled the trees up. He'd put the chains around.
He was a chokerman, they called him.
Worked with chains all his life. So I was just a hump. He just I was the log that he threw to the side.
Those chain people are like, wow. Like, that's a job. That's a job. I don't know what it's called. What is it called?
Chokerman.
Chokerman.
So they sit up on the side of the hill after the trees have been falled, and then they run these lines up to them. The chokers come up, and they put them around the logs. Very dangerous job. And those guys are hauling those wire ropes and all day long. Yeah. So he could have probably.
You screw that up once, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Guys did.
Yeah.
Wow.
You don't, I mean, when you fall a tree in a forest, like, it's not like it sat there for a year and kind of settled. That thing could go anywhere, right? So those guys are tough. So
yeah.
Not like the three of us.
No. Complete pussies.
No.
Yeah.
I can't wait till Trevor gets to Vancouver and lights you up again a little bit more.
Trevor's the best. You should put out a fourth one. Put out another.
Shout out to Trev. Hey, have a good weekend in Vancouver with Denise. All right.
I like the Flyer fan, like the Flyer connection to the Vancouver Canucks, like talking being a Hall of Fame Flyer. That's cool.
Also, another Philadelphia Flyer that's a huge Vancouver guy is the massive Irishman.
Quinn,
yeah.
So there's definitely a connection there.
A couple of good ones right there.
Yeah. You know what, Rick Tocchet was the epitome of what they want a Philadelphia Flyer to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think any team would want that.
Top 10 all time in penalty minutes, and he's not going anywhere because
This is what they say about Rick Tocchet. Great human, great hockey player, great coach. Loved all.
Loved all.